So there's this rumor going around inside of the wholesaling industry that PPL doesn't work. And if you don't know what PPL, that's paper lead, lead Zolo, property lead, speed to lead, where all of our leads come. The ones where I go live all the time, closing deals for you to see. I even show you me picking out which leads to do, buying the lead, calling the lead, and then getting the contract signed, all while live. Yet in other communities, the ones that like to attack us and say, one call closes don't work. The guy with the belts, aren't you tired of that? The ones that say don't be real and raw and authentic and be honest and, negotiate with educating sellers. Those communities, they're the ones that are saying PPL is no longer working. So as I look at this, I started thinking to myself, so what's the answer? Because realistically, back in the day, when a lot of us had to do cold outreach, cold calling, cold texting, RVMs, direct mail, all these cold outreach, it was such like the desire to have inbound warm leads coming in. That's what we always desired. But yet we didn't have the ability like we did today without becoming a PPC campaign expert or hiring a PPC manager to run those campaigns. And it was costly. But now these PPL providers, they go out and they run these nationwide campaigns and they can sell leads in certain cities for a lot less than the majority of PPC campaign managers can do in specific locations. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is why I keep saying we're in the golden age of wholesaling. Things have improved. They've gotten better. Why are we going out and we're saying this is not working? So let's unpack this, okay? Let's think about this. First and foremost, let's define what is a lead. So I've written down a definition of what I feel like a lead is, okay? Someone who has expressed interest in selling their house off market. Okay, that's what I would consider a lead. Now, back in the day, I remember a lot of people would say, you pull a list of leads because it's pre-foreclosures or it's vacant properties. That's not a lead. The seller has to raise their hand and say, I do want to sell my house off market. Okay, if they say that, then it's a lead. Okay, so what is the PPL provider doing for you? They're spending money to get those people to click on their website and then say, I have a house that I would like to sell off market. That is all the PPL provider is providing you, is the opportunity to have that conversation, which is quite frankly all we were doing back in the day when we were doing cold outreach. We just had to weed through all of the people that would say, no, I don't want to sell my house off market. Now you don't have to do that. Hence why we're in the golden age of wholesale. So now swipe our card. We have their contact information. We call them and they say, yep, I do have a house that I want to sell off market. So PPL doesn't work. Incorrect. Maybe it's your closing process that doesn't work. And this is where I have a problem. See, all of these communities out here that are saying PPL doesn't work, what I'm questioning is it your closing process does not work for PPL? Maybe your closing process was built around cold outreach, cold calling, direct mail, and whatnot. The reason why I say that is because when you get a PPL lead, they are ready to transact. They are ready to do business right now. Very rarely do I get a motivated seller through PPL and they say, I'm just testing the waters. I just want to see. And if so, we embrace no. That's part of our process. Now, I don't know what all of these other communities and educators teach because I don't follow them. Now, I have seen quite a few of them when I do King Closer Reacts. I go find them doing live seller calls. I watch them. and I say what I think they do well and what I disagree with. Again, I don't necessarily think all these other people's processes are wrong, but I do think that there has to be a problem with the process if you're saying PPL doesn't work. Going back to my point of maybe it's because if you think that there needs to be a 3-call process, maybe that's why PPL is not working for you and your community. You're adding barriers to the entry to the result that you want. The result that you want is you get the property under contract under a discount. That is the result that you want. If you are going to add 2 extra phone conversations, that's multiple opportunities for that to not take place. There's so many things that can happen where you never get that seller on the phone. Another person comes in and contracts the deal. And this is what could be impacting your community saying PPL doesn't work. And it might not be PPL. It might be your process. So what I want to understand is when people are saying PPL doesn't work, why are they not ever saying, let me look internally at my process and see if my process is not working? Because again, the only thing that a PPL provider is providing you is someone that raised their hand and said, I have a house that I want to sell off market. So there is legitimately no reason why it should not work. It's not like direct mail is going to go find someone that wants to sell a house for more of a discount than an inbound SEO lead or an inbound PPC lead that are targeting people that are motivated just like the list that you're pulling when you're doing direct mail or cold calling. It's literally the same thing. More often than not, whoever clicked on a PPL provider's website is probably getting cold called and sent direct mail from other wholesalers. So if you feel like PPL is not working, it's probably your process. Now, the other thing I've heard is, well, PPL is so expensive and I'm not getting enough leads. Well, let's break that theory, okay? More is not always better. More is just more. That's all it is. It's more opportunities for you to close, but you should still be able to hit a certain metric, a certain KPI. And quite frankly, with PPL, it should require you to have less conversations than any other lead generation tactic out there. Again, another reason why I feel like we're in the golden age of wholesaling. Because for so many years, I did all of these cold tactics, cold calling, cold texting, RVMs, direct mail. I know all of the phone calls that I had to go through were, quite frankly, they just didn't want to sell the house. Because it's just blindly outreaching to people and saying, do you want to sell? We still ask that, but we already know the answer with PPL because they already raised their hand and said, I absolutely do want to sell. Hence why in the closer's formula, we just go into how much do you want for the property? And now we can identify their pain and motivation and see if we are a good fit. This is why our process works so well with PPL. And also, it's not, you don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to sit here and say, well, RJ, you say it works. I show you that it works repeatedly. More than anyone else in this industry, I go live, buying the leads, showing you exactly what platform I'm getting them from, how much I'm paying for them, and then locking up the contract. And then on top of that, there's times where we'll even dispo the deal live for you guys to see how that process goes out. So for anyone out there saying that PPL doesn't work, I'm here to say I have proven you incorrect. I have shown you time and time again, it does. And if you feel like you need more leads, again, that's wrong. I show you it does not take more than 10 to 12 leads for you to get a signed contract. I do it over and over and over again. In fact, I've been closing speed to lead leads since 2021. And there's not one live that I've called speed to lead leads and not gotten a signed contract. And there's never been a time where I had to go buy 30 or 40 of them. It's about, on a bad day, 10 to 12. And there's times where when I do buy 10 to 12, I'll get a call back and get a second or third signed contract. And this is with all of the PPL providers that we showcase. Lead Zolo, they were a massive part of the 50-day challenge in 2023. Property Leads, since we brought them on, every single time we go live, 1 out of 10 equals a signed contract on the first dial. This is not including any follow-up. Moving me to my next point. How come in almost every community that I've ever been a part of or had a little bit of insider knowledge about, do we regularly talk about, hey, with cold calling and direct mail, it's all about the follow-up. It's the long game. You never hear anybody talk about PPL as the long game. Well, let me be the first to tell you. PPL is also part of the long game. Now, the objective when you call a PPL lead is not to follow up with that lead. However, there's going to be times where you do not get that lead on the phone, and you do need to be focused on following up relentlessly. The key here is you call them until they sell you the house or they tell you, no, I am not selling you the house. That is the goal. You have to continue to follow up because you are spending good money. And what do we know about this lead? Outside of the vague information that they give you, they have raised their hand and said that they have a property that they want to sell off market. That is the most important information that we could ever have about a seller, that they have a house that they want to sell us off market. So we have to relentlessly follow up with that until we get an answer. Now, other communities, other educators, leaders in this space, they're fine saying that about cold calling. They're fine saying it about direct mail. However, no one wants to say that about PPL. Yet inside of the Titanium University community, we see people closing deals in August from a lead that they got in January, February, March, April, and saying follow-up is what got us there, being relentless with it. They didn't answer me for 6 months, but as soon as they did, they explained why they hadn't answered me for 6 months, and now they're ready to sell. And boom, we closed the deal, and we made 20 grand. It's okay with direct mail. It's okay with cold calling, but it's not okay with PPL. I beg to differ on that. Now, the other thing is, people are always looking for the next big thing in lead generation. My experience, I've seen it go from direct mail to RVMs to cold texting, back to cold calling, and then PPL. Now, we're hitting the wave of the cycle where people have come in and they have tested out PPL. They didn't succeed, and now they're going to blame it on PPL. They're not going to blame it on themselves. They're not going to blame it on their closing process. They're not going to blame it on their company underwriting. No, it must be Gene Blinkoff at Speed to Lead. I mean, that guy, he sucks, okay? He's got to suck. I mean, how dare him run an ad where the video says, do you have a house that you need to sell fast as is? And people click on it and fill out the information, and you swipe your card for $100 and it comes in and you call them. What else do you want from them? What do you think you're going to get from all the other lead generation tactics? You're getting the exact same thing and a lot worse on top of it. So stop blaming the third party because it ain't them, it's you. You need to get better at what you're doing. More leads is not going to make you rich. Learning how to close leads is going to make you rich. You've got to figure out internally, what kind of self-accountability and consistency am I going to have inside of my business, and stop blaming the lack of results on someone else. Because I'm going to tell you right now, Gene Blinkoff doesn't give a shit if you close leads or not, okay? Because he knows he provides great leads. That someone with a true process of closing following up with those relentlessly, understanding how to comp and underwrite and lock deals up where end buyers buys, they're going to succeed with speed to lead. Same thing with the guys that lead Zolo and same thing with the guys that property leads. That's what makes you rich in wholesaling. Developing the skill sets to be able to do this business. If you're listening to someone out there that says to be a great wholesaler, you've got to learn two things, marketing and sales, you're listening to the wrong person because it's 2024. They've fallen behind the times. They're not in the game enough to realize that we don't have to worry about marketing anymore. There's other people that have dedicated their entire careers to do that. Now, all we need to do is be an expert at being able to close the deals, comp and underwrite, and understand where the end buyers buy and dispo those deals. Be a real estate expert. Learn how to do that. Then you're not going to be pointing the finger to the third party that, quite frankly, doesn't give a shit because they know they're doing their job well. Think about that for a second. The next thing is, let's say you are struggling. You're doing PPL and you are struggling. What is the process of optimizing your closing success? Are you reviewing your calls? Are you recording those calls? Are you going back and listening to yourself, to someone else on your team? Do you have someone else that is reviewing those calls for you? That is a closing expert. This is one of the things that we do every single Thursday inside of Titanium University is I do live seller call reviews for anyone and everyone at Titanium University. If you're a member, you can record any call. It doesn't have to be acquisitions. It can be dispositions. It can be a follow-up call. It can be a renegotiation call. Whatever it is, you record that and submit it, and I'm gonna review that one-on-one with everyone inside the university watching it, because this is the most valuable way for you to get better inside of your closing process. One, you need to listen to yourself. You need to watch your body language. You need to hear your tonality. You need to listen to the questions that you're asking. Does it make sense now? It's always going to make sense, the question that you ask in the moment. But when you go back and you watch the recording, you're going to see a massive difference in, I probably should have asked a different question. And then to have a third party review that. Someone like me that's closed thousands of transactions, done more live seller calls on camera than anyone else in this industry. That is what we provide you at Titanium University. If you don't have something like that, this could be part of the reason why you're feeling like it doesn't work. Because you need to be studying game film. There's a reason why athletes do it. There's a reason why sports teams do it. Why aren't you doing the exact same thing? At the end of the day, closing deals is about who connects with the seller the best and solves their problem. This isn't about like mindless rapport building, okay? This is about connecting with the seller and understanding what does that person need from me and providing that solution to them right then and there. This is why I don't like the games. It's why I'm so hard on it and I harp on it all the time, where it's like, listen, if you think that you are helping the seller by putting them on hold or talking to a fake underwriter or doing a 3-call process, you're not. It's not helping them. This does not make them feel warm and fuzzy. Listening to them and providing them the solution that they need makes them feel warm and fuzzy, and it gives you the connection to make them want to do business with you. That is what we are doing on this. The person who connects best with the seller is the person that wins more often than not. The other thing is consistency. Again, something that everyone in this industry for years has preached. Direct mail. It's all about consistency. I remember back in the day, everybody used to say 6 to 7 times you've got to send them a postcard or a letter before that should actually be a lead. It's about the consistency. Keep swiping, keep swiping. Yet now that we have this golden opportunity with PPL, I don't hear anybody talking about consistency in it. Why not? Why are we not just as consistent with this? We can be consistent with cold calling, cold texting, direct mail, but now warm, hot, inbound leads through SEO spiderwebs throughout the nation, PPC, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, everywhere. All of these things that we've always wanted, yet no one's preaching consistency. The key in this business is to learn how to be consistent as a tree. Consistent as a tree. If you don't understand that, just think about it for a second. You ever seen a tree grow? Not really. They're always there. They're always getting bigger. They're always the biggest. That's how you want your business going. Consistently getting better and growing 1% every single day. Be consistent with your marketing. Be consistent with your call efforts, your follow-up, relentless within your consistency. At the end of the day, guys, what I want you to take away from this, the key in this business is consistency with your lead generation, consistency within your process of talking to sellers, consistency with your comping and underwriting, and getting deals consistently wherein buyers buy. Nothing has provided us with that opportunity quite like PPL, because it weeds through all of the unnecessary no's that we've previously had to go through. Now, I'm not saying cold calling doesn't work. Now, I'm not saying direct mail doesn't work, because they do. We have done them, and we still do them. We have a team of cold callers here at Titanium, still cold calling for us. So this is not just a sole attack on cold calling. This is a defense of PPL. And for me to let you guys know, more leads is not what's going to make you rich. Understanding how to talk to sellers, how to connect with them, how to solve their problems through actively listening to them, streamlining that process, and company underwriting and dispoing deals, that's what's going to make you rich. If you spent $5,000 to $10,000 on PPL leads and you haven't closed a deal or multiple deals from that, I'm going to tell you the truth. It wasn't the leads. It was your process. And as the owner of the business, you should have some accountability, self-accountability, and looking internally and saying, I need to stop blaming my company's failures on a third party, and I need to look inside on how we can get better as an organization. That's all I got for you today, guys. Let me know what you think about this. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. If you do agree, I appreciate it. Give me a like on the video and let me know in the comments. We'll see you guys tomorrow.